You see a lot of different founders. You talk to a lot of different founders. What are you evaluating the team, especially at this earliest stage? Looking at the seed stage with Vitalize, where we invest, but even in the pre-seed with angel groups and stuff like that. How are you evaluating the founders? Like, what are you looking for in the founders at that early stage?
Number one is passion for the problem. Oftentimes, the founder has experienced the pain point. They intimately understand it. They care about it. They're going to do anything to figure it out. So that's important. And I also look for founders that really understand. They understand how to think strategically and also how to execute. So when you're really early stage, you have to have a vision. Where are you going? What is this firm going to be? What do you want to accomplish from a big picture perspective? But then you have to be able to dial it down to the basic level of what are the exact steps I need to take in the near term to put me on a path to achieve that big picture vision. And every single day, it's constantly redefining what are my short terms to get to that long term. And so it's a very special, set of strengths that a founder has to be able to do both well. And sure, at some point you may bring in somebody who has a different skill set to run the company, but at the early stage, it's somebody that's multifaceted in that dimension. And they've pulled a strong team together around them. So they might only have 2 people working there. Sometimes we talk to founders at the seed stage who already have 8 or 12 people. But what we're looking for is that all of the team members complement each other in terms of skill sets. There has to be somebody leading the technical side. There has to be somebody, leading the sales process. And how is the founder, or it might be the founder that's doing founder-led sales still. That's always how they start before they hire in a sales team. And we want to understand that those folks work well together, that we trust them, we like them, we want to help them, we want to partner with them and have a 5 to 10 year relationship with this team.
With that team, are there any red flags? I remember as I've had some of these conversations with founders already at Vitalize, just a few of them. And we have a doc that helps us kind of evaluate. Obviously, we're going through a process for evaluating founders, but any red flags along the way, things that pop up where you're like, we may need to like dive in deeper on that, or we may need to like figure out, like, we need to ask some people around them about this. Anything that pops up in your mind, Gale?
Sure. I think I've led 75 investments so far. And we've passed on a handful that ended up being founder concerns at the end of the day. Like we looked at a deal in the B2B enterprise space, and that individual had been in that sector previously and had a licensed position, and they lost their license, and that was publicly available information. And we looked into why they had lost the license, and it just wasn't good, and we have to do full due diligence like that. And so if there's a red flag where somebody lost a license due to negligent behavior, fraudulent behavior, any kind of bad behavior, it's just not a good look for us as VCs who are fiduciaries of our LP's capital to invest in that individual who has proved once before that they are doing something that is not great. Other things that have happened: founders not being organized, founders being jerks, happens more often than I wish it did. But we work closely with the founders, and we want the no jerk rule in our portfolio. So I think those are some of the things that have happened where, if something comes up in due diligence that doesn't look great on the founder's background, or if they're difficult to work with, they're not showing up to meetings on time, or they're really late in getting us things, showing kind of prioritization and organizational issues, or they're just not easy to work with, then we will pass at that point.
Yeah, and in that process, then evaluating these founders and kind of doing the background on them in that diligence. I mean, how many calls are you doing? Caroline's leading a lot of the diligence as well here at Vitalize. How many calls are you doing on that, like, per deal? I mean, it could vary, I'm sure, but like, how much goes into that? Because we've talked about this internally about the process and how we do diligence, and you're looking at so many companies, you have to figure out how you streamline that process. How many calls or how many things are on that side, like the people side, are going out for each founder or each team as you're evaluating a company?
On average, probably 5 to 10 calls per company that we consider for investment. And those calls go to current team members, current investors, current advisors. And then we also do what's called back channel references. So these are not the names of references given to us by the founder. Instead, we go to our networks on LinkedIn and say, okay, we're considering Justin Gordon's company for investment. Who do I know that knows him? And then I'll just send a quick note. Hey, we're considering Justin's startup for investment. Any thoughts on your previous experience working with him? And, sometimes they don't know the founders well enough to provide insight, but I mean, I've gotten some really insightful help this way, both good and bad.